Welcome back to
Hey.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm like, oh, we're going rogue.
We're going rogue. Okay, restart.
Welcome back to Internet
Internet
Girls.
girls. Hey, so happy to have you here.
Yeah, we're like really excited about this episode. I feel like I'm so excited. So is Hannah. I don't know why, because it's a true crime episode. Um,
Well, because I'm like a true crime girl. Are you?
I love true crime. Like I love like Law and Order. Like I used to listen to a ton of true crime like podcasts in the past.
I was going to say, what's your true crime podcast? Like, what's your fave?
So I used to be a My Favorite Murderer like listen I used to listen to their podcast religiously, but then I like
Mm.
kind of stopped because I heard it's like actually bad for your mental health. Like gives you
Yeah,
anxiety. So I
you
honestly
know?
have weaned myself off of true crime in general, like in my
Yeah.
life, like the last like 2 years.
No,
I
I'm
was,
the same. I used to start every day with like listening to a horrendous murder podcast. And then I was like, wait, why am I so anxious all the time?
and I'm like,
Interesting.
this is not good for me, as it turns out. so, so guys, if you're an anxious person, maybe this episode isn't the best for you, but it's just one episode, and we're
Yeah.
very lighthearted girls, so it's not that serious, okay?
It's not that serious. And like I'm telling a positive one where my person escapes. Yeah, it's not even murder. It's just like years of torture. So like
Yeah. So,
easy.
I mean, did you die?
Yeah, exactly. You're fine. But yeah, I'm so excited to continue our spooky October episodes. I have my little candle and
Ooh.
my cozy sweatshirt and like a little like mocha pumpkin spice treat that I made because Tori, I went to Starbucks yesterday and they robbed me.
What do you mean?
I mean, I got a drink that was like, I don't know, 4 inches tall and it cost me almost $7.
Excuse me?
Excuse me. It was a tall, which is the small. This is why I don't go to Starbucks. I was like, I feel robbed. Like, I
How
literally got a
dare
free
they?
water because I was like, I'm not going to walk out of here with just this.
You're like, what
Like, give
else
me
can I
something
get?
else.
Where's the straws? Give me the honey packets.
I was like, is there anything else you have back there? Because I feel like I was taken advantage of here. Got the coffee machine out today. I was like, John, it is time. It is cozy. It is cold. I'm going to need to start making drinks because that was absolutely insane. I feel like an idiot.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's cold there though. That's a huge update for you.
Okay. Yeah. It's in the low 70s, which is great.
Huge
And
improvement.
I've been leaning in, even though I wouldn't say it's cold, but it is. Next week's supposed to be in the high 60s. So, like, we're moving in the right direction.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love
I'm
that.
so happy. The first day it was cold, like, you should have seen me. I was outside the house, like, doing cartwheels. I was like, I'm so happy right now. This changed my life. Okay, another little update from me. I'm so excited about this. It's so stupid. This is very much like white girl invents caffeine or discovers caffeine. So if you know me, I cut out caffeine like almost 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And like I do little bits. Like I'll do like a Diet Coke, I'll do a chai, I'll do a decaf. Like there's little bits of caffeine there. Since I've gotten pregnant, that natural energy is nowhere to be found. Like I don't know where she went. And yesterday I went out for tea and I had like 4 cups of black tea. And I get home and I am jumping around the house, bouncing off the walls. I'm getting shit done. I'm filming stuff. I was like so tired before that. And I got home and I was like, no, I could do it all. Like I am so productive and I cry a lot. And so I was like, should I start drinking caffeine again?
So are you going to?
Well, so today I made a half calf. Like I literally brewed 2 pods, one decaf, one calf, and then poured out half of the calf.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
I don't know if that's how you make a half calf, but yeah, I I never
Sounds
felt
right.
so good. Yeah, right? So I just feel like I could be so productive if I started drinking caffeine again.
I mean, do you like matcha?
No.
Oh, because matcha is like 30 okay, so like a cup of coffee I think has like 80 grams of caffeine and like matcha has like 30.
That's what chai is for me.
Okay.
But I got a chai from Starbucks yesterday and it did nothing for me.
Okay.
So I was like, I think we need to step it up a little bit. And then when I've had the kid, well, actually, then I'm going to be super tired too because I'll have to take care of a kid. But when she's a couple years old, I can cut out caffeine again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, also like you could just do the half cap. See how you feel with the half cap, you know? Because
I feel great already.
yeah, and half cap is like a step above the matcha like level of caffeine, but it's
I need
not
to look this up.
exactly. Yeah. Actually, someone
Yeah.
chime in the comments somewhere and educate us.
Yeah. But I literally was like laying there and I was like, wow, I can't believe caffeine made me feel this way. And I was like, this is so white woman discovers caffeine. Like, I am so ridiculous. And I used to be such a coffee drinker. I used to drink like 4 or 5 cups a day. Like, that's why I cut out caffeine because that was not healthy.
Yeah.
And my anxiety levels were like off the charts. And that's the thing too. When I cut out caffeine, I stopped having those like 2 p.m. anxiety attacks.
Oh, yeah. That's a big deal. That's a big thing.
It's pretty big deal. But now that I'm pregnant, it's just the energy's gone. Like it's not coming back.
Yeah. That's like, but also maybe if you could just like find a happy medium with it, like maybe just 1 cup a day, like maybe 2 half caps a day.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Also, pregnant women aren't supposed to have more than 1 cup of coffee with caffeine.
Oh,
So like
perfect.
we're limiting ourselves, but
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go crazy. Like I
Yeah.
got my half calf, but I'm feeling great. I'm halfway through my drink. I'm less than halfway through, and I am feeling so good. Like this is doing its job. And I knew I needed energy for this episode because I have a lot to share.
Oh my gosh, so much to share.
What's new with you?
Let's see. I got a alien removed from my back.
I was literally gonna say you should tell everyone about this.
Yeah, no, so I've had a freaking like lump on my back and it's been like I would say medium size. Like it wasn't like huge, but it wasn't like small. You know what I mean? Like
I've seen it.
yeah, it's noticeable, but it's not like like it's not
Yeah,
like the size of like a shoulder or something, you know, but it's like
it's like a little over quarter size, maybe.
yeah, it was like oh, like a silver dollar size.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a silver dollar size and it was like on my back left shoulder. So you would see it, but I was not like self-conscious about it at all. I didn't let it stop me wearing like whatever I wanted to wear. And I had it for forever. It actually first popped up when Matt and I first started dating, and it was small at first, like very small, and it like grew over the years, and then it was just like that size, and it stayed that size for years and years. But every like once like I would say once every 2 years it would kind of get inflamed and hurt a little. So I finally decided to get it removed, and I had went to the doctor about it multiple times, and a few times they tried to give me like pills to like shrink it down, which
What?
in what world would that work?
Yeah,
You
I've
know?
never heard of that.
Yeah, it didn't work. So I just never got around to like actually getting it out of my back. So, and it's really hard, you know, because we move so much.
Mm.
So, like, it's hard to like nail that kind of doctor appointment down. But I finally did it here in Massachusetts, and oh my gosh. I thought it was gonna look like a regular, like, a cyst that you get
Yeah.
removed, like a bulb looking like cyst that they pull out. No, this looked like,
It
honestly,
looked like fat, like in your body.
yeah, it kind of looked like cancer. You know what I mean? Like what I would expect, like a cancerous like thing to look
Oh my
like,
god.
but it's not. She said it's like they're typically totally benign. So yeah, it was crazy looking though. Crazy
So
looking.
I'm taking it you're not a Dr. Pimple Popper girly.
No, I love Dr. Pimple Popper. but I
Oh,
don't
because I
like.
was, you guys, I had Tori send me a picture and I was like diagnosing. I was like, oh yeah, that's lipoma. I don't worry. I have such a passion for this.
No, so a long time ago, I used to be really into her videos and watch them a lot, but I haven't in like a couple years, so I'm
Mm.
just not like brushed up on my knowledge. But oh my gosh, it was crazy looking and it took forever. It took her like 45 minutes to get it out, and I will
Oh my
never get
God.
over like the sound of the snipping.
Ew, yeah, like
And it's
your skin.
and
Oh,
I don't think she cut it and drained it or anything. I think she just like cut it and just like cut it out
that's a
and just like
lipoma.
mm,
So fun fact about me, if I could have any other career, I would be a dermatologist.
really?
Is that so random? I'm fascinated by skin stuff.
Yeah. But they knew
So
every
if I didn't have to go to medical school, you know, Dr.
I
Hannah Lukanoff at your service.
yeah, I could have went to you.
Hmm. I could
Nope.
have diagnosed that shit easily.
Like while she was doing it, the sound I had to just like talk because otherwise, like the sound of that I couldn't like unhear it. Like the sound of like your own skin being like snipped is just like it makes you want to
Oh
throw
my
up. Like
God.
it's not like it hurt because they numbed it so much. The only thing that did kind of hurt was the lidocaine, but that didn't hurt
Mm.
that bad. But just that noise. So she was like talking to me the whole time, and I was just like, yeah, so like, and just telling my life story to this girl. Like my dermatologist now knows my entire life.
Did you tell her to listen to the pod?
I should have, but I
You
more so,
should have.
I was like, yeah, so my husband's a travel nurse. We lived here and then we moved here. I really like this about this area of the country. Like, I was
Was Matt
just,
with you?
he really wanted to go in and like sit in and watch it.
Yeah.
But he was like, I hate when people do that though at the hospital, like and want to come sit in the room, like it's always annoying. Um,
Really?
yeah, because it's like people in there. It's just like and the people are always in the way, but he really wanted to come in. He's like, I'll take you because I want to come see it. You know what I mean? And then,
Yeah.
because he's like, this has been along for the ride this whole
I
entire time.
know. I would have been in there. I would have flown over and been like, all right, I want to see this lipoma get removed in person, live from Boston.
But anyways, good riddance. It's got.
Yeah, that's
But
crazy.
other than that, which it still hurts, it's like I have
Oh,
stitches, which I have to get them removed. So, I have to go back in 2 weeks to get it removed. So that's fun. But Matt has
yeah,
to
that
change my
sucks.
dressings, which I'm at
Oh,
least I have a nurse that gets to
you
change
have
my
a
dressing.
live-in nurse. You're
Yeah.
so lucky.
Yeah, like they sent
Those are
us home with
expensive.
right? They sent us home with this gauze, and Matt was like, I don't like this gauze because sometimes it can get caught in your sutras. Matt was like, I can take your stitches out. Like I take them out at the hospital like every day. Like
Oh
he
my
was like
God.
he's like, we don't even need to go to that appointment, but I guess like whatever.
That's amazing. Does it? I've never had stitches, period. But does it hurt to get stitches taken out?
I don't know. I'll let you know because I've never had them either.
Oh my
Probably.
God.
Oh.
I
But
cut my foot last year and should have gotten stitches, but I didn't because I was like, I don't want to go to the ER. That sounds horrible. So now I just have a fat scar. And the guy at the hospital was like, no, you really should have gotten stitches. Like, what the fuck were you doing?
you're like, it's fine. My
It's
foot's
fine.
just wide open.
Yeah,
No.
gnarly scar.
Ugh. Well, they put two dissolvable ones underneath, and then she said she put two on top that I have to go get removed. And I'm like, why can't they just all be dissolvable, please?
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
so crazy. Oh my God.
But anyways, other than that fun update, my fever blister's almost gone. And last other thing is, I swear, I always have like some sort of health thing going on.
I
Um,
know.
but my last other thing is I went to an event with Visit Florida last night, which was so like meta because like I'm from Florida, like born and raised. And so Matt and I were at this event with all the tourism boards from Florida. We're here
That's
in
so cool.
Boston. And it was so cool. I was like,
Oh my
oh my And so they all knew like about where we're from in Florida, and the people from the tourism boards from where we're from were there, and we were just like vibing. There was girls who went to our same college that Matt and I went to, and we're like, yeah, we met at Mugs and Jugs, and they were like, no, you didn't.
Mugs and Jugs.
They were like, no, you didn't meet at Mugs and Jugs.
Oh my god, your villain origin story.
Yeah, Matt and I met at this like disgusting dive college bar that on Dollar Beer Night, and they were like, y'all met at Dollar Beer Night. So it was just hilarious, but it was so fun, and it was just like Florida, because like I don't know it, yeah, which is funny because Matt and I have a like love-hate relationship with Florida. Obviously, we have this like very love kindredness to it because we grew up there and lived there until I was 30. So that's a long time. But
wow.
Yeah, also childhood trauma.
Yeah, and the fact that you get a rash every time you go to Florida.
I know that this is a new thing that has happened. Which the first time it happened, I was with Hannah.
It was so scary.
No, it's like on my neck, and it happens on the same spot on my neck. This side right here, it'll itch, and then it'll swell up, and then my lymph node will swell up on my neck right here, and like obviously I'm like my throat's closing in. I'm about to die.
Only in Florida. Bestie is allergic to Florida, which makes sense because who isn't? But
and we were at Disney on the Disney brand trip, and I was like, Hannah, I'm so sorry, but we have to go get some medicine.
I was like, we need to find a doctor. Her throat is closing up. We need Benadryl. We need a shot, inject her with something right now.
I was like, I'm gonna die, and I kept the whole rest of the trip. I was like, maybe I might die on this trip.
If you die at Disney, do you get like a special like lifetime pass for all your friends and family?
Right? No, you should assume. We shouldn't be saying this about the mouse. We're trying to
get the mouse.
I know. Hannah and I keep being like, Disney invited us back, and then we keep like slipping up and being like, oh yeah, talking low-key S-word. No, it's great. We love it. It was so much fun.
No, we did love it. We did.
Every second.
Tori almost died, but like what's new?
It wasn't their fault. It was the allergies that I have developed from Florida. And then I recently went on a bachelorette trip to Key West, came back, and same exact rash. I sent Hannah a photo, and I was like, Hannah, it's happening again. But the event was at the Little Words Project. Have you heard of that? There's probably one in San Francisco.
I have.
And I made a bracelet. That's so
cute.
It says Aperol Spritz.
Oh,
cute.
I love.
Matt made one that says Dirty Martini. That's really fun. It's a fun thing to do. If you have one in your area, you like go and make like a fun bracelet. It's like relaxing. Matt was like, let's go back there. I want to do that again. So it's a fun date night. Anyways, that's all my life updates.
Okay, we are so boring. I'm like, I discovered caffeine, and you're like, I got a lipoma removed. Like, okay, so I'm very excited about this episode, but I do have to tell you guys a quick story because I wrote a story and I was like, oh my gosh, for October, let's get like true crime stories together, and then we'll tell each other true crime stories on the pod. And like, we didn't want to tell each other what stories we picked out or anything. We wanted it to be like a total surprise. And late last night, Tori's like, oh my God, but what if we pick the same one? And I'm like, that's impossible. Mine is like so original.
I just had this weird feeling, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like out of nowhere. It was my psychic ability came through. You know how we were talking about how we're both psychic? I was like, like I had the Raven Simone moment, like from That's So Raven. Yes, exactly. And I was like, what if we pick the same one? I was like, Hannah, where is yours based? Like, just let me know the city that it's based in, so we can just. I was like, I'm sure it's not, but I just like sent her a text. I was like, bet it's not, but let's just double check.
I honestly should have seen this coming because it's like one of the only true crime podcasts that has to do with shopping. So like obviously we both picked it. But yeah, Tori and I share a brain cell. So yeah, our texts are so funny. I was like, "Oh, I'm doing the Lululemon murder," and she was like, "Hannah, stop." And I was like, "No," because I literally spent all week, you guys, preparing. Like I was listening to podcast episodes, I was watching TikToks, I was doing the most. So then I was like, "All right, it's like 11 o'clock at night, and now we both have to pick a new true crime story."
I know. I was so sad. I was so sad because that's also just like, it's such a good story too.
It's crazy.
I know, but like people get murdered every single day, not to be like RIP, but how did we pick the same murder of all
There's
the
thousands of
murders?
stories.
Yeah.
Thousands. Oh my God. And I guess I'm just not very original because then I was thinking about all these other ones and I was asking John and he was like, no, everyone knows about that. And I was like, really? So I guess, yeah.
No, I dug really deep, so there's no, I don't think you've heard mine.
Okay, well, I told you the one I was doing so that we wouldn't
Yeah.
have this mistake again.
But you just
But
told me
I,
like the common name of it. Like so
mhm,
and you just asked me if I'd heard of it and I hadn't heard of it. So,
yeah. But anyway, we're really excited to tell each other these stories. So, Tori, why don't you take us away?
okay. So my story, it starts in New England, which is where I currently live. And actually, it starts on Cape Cod, which I used to live on Cape Cod. So, and it happened in the winter time. And the crazy thing about the wintertime on Cape Cod is it's such like a dead place, no pun intended, but like nothing goes on there. I've told Hannah this before. It's like everything is closed. I used to live in a touristy town, right? You know? And so I thought like, yeah, things would have like whatever hours or be closed early. No, this place it's desolate in the winter. So imagine like a Cape Cod storybook like it's like the beach and like these like cottages, beach cottages, you know, but desolate, like nothing. It's wintertime.
Yeah,
So,
interlude real quick. There is an American Horror Story season that showcases like a story that's on Cape Cod in the winter, and that's how I know like what it's like. So you guys should all go watch that season.
yeah, it's a that's a good season. But this town that this happened in is called Truro, which is actually very close to where I used to live, like 10 minutes away from the town that I used to live in called East Falmouth is where I used to live. And this town is even smaller than that town if you've seen the American Horror Story town. Like this is probably like a town of like 5,000 people, maybe less. I should have looked up that fun fact, but it's like a very small town. And there's a writer who moves there who was like this very famous fashion writer in 1997. Her name is Christina Worthington, and she's like very affluent. And she wrote like she was like big time. Like she wrote for Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar. Like this wasn't like oh I have a little fashion blog. This is like a like beautiful woman who was like a fashion writer, like a jet setter, like socialite.
Love.
And she came from like a very like well off family, and she like had just turned 40, and so she was like, you know, I'm tired of like this like lifestyle. I really want to like slow down. And there's no better way to like slow down than like going to the Cape, trust me, because whenever I got like sick or whatever, not to go off on a tangent, but that's where I went and it was like the perfect place to like heal. Like think like Gilmore Girls whenever the grandma like Lorelai Gilmore's mom, like whenever she went to the Cape and then she was like retiring there. Like it's like those vibes. Like she really wanted to just like chill out from her like jet setting life. And so her family, who was very affluent, owned a bunch of houses like across the world, but she wanted to like go there and relax. So she lived in like their little like pink cute like cottage and then she eventually moved into like their bigger house, but she has a neighbor whose name is like Tim and he finds her one night because he goes to drop off a flashlight and he finds her one night stabbed in the chest and she has a 2-year-old daughter who's like clutching her, which is like the saddest part.
Oh
Mhm.
my God.
Mhm. And he immediately calls the police, obviously. And this town is like so small that this is like, murders don't just happen.
Huge news. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first murder in 30 years. And it was like sloppily done because it's like such a small town. Like the police force there, like, don't really know what they're doing. And but they did notice that she'd been raped as well. And this is 1997, so it's like the DNA lab thing is not like it is today. They send her DNA to the lab to be like figure out like the what happened or whose DNA it was, and they are backed up. Like the DNA labs are backed up for a year. So they're like, yeah, okay, we're testing DNA, but it's gonna be like a while, which is just crazy because you would think like that would be expedited. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna you're gonna wait a whole entire year before
That's
like you can
crazy.
get to someone like that. Come to find out, like her neighbor is actually her ex. Like that guy who like was dropping off the flashlight was like someone she had dated. So the police like look at him. He's like a prime suspect at first. Like they're like, "Oh, you're dropping off a flashlight and you just happen to find her dead. Like, did you do it?" They find out that the baby's father, who the baby's name's Ava, he actually lives in town and his name is Tony Jacket, which isn't that just a weird Tony
Interesting name.
yeah,
Tony
which is
Jacket.
like on Cape Cod. Like, is this a storybook? You know what I
Yeah, like
mean?
kind of iconic, kind of scary.
Yeah. It also, are you a serial killer or a a children's book character? It could be either, you know.
Or like a jacket salesman, because imagine how perfect.
No, totally made for the job. But the thing is he was married like his whole entire life. He had 6 kids and he's lived in that town his whole entire life too. He was the fishing warden, which I don't exactly know what that means. To my knowledge from the research I did, it sounds like he was more of like the dock master at the local marina. I couldn't really like get a gauge on exactly what the fishing warden is. Like I think I think it's like whenever people come in, they make sure that like they're not overfishing or
Yeah, that I would guess that.
he has 6 kids with his wife that he's been married to his whole entire life. And so he was cheating on his wife with
Oh, I was like, so how
this.
does he have a kid with this
Yeah,
woman?
it was an affair that it was a year-long affair that he had been having. Um, and he's like not a bad-looking dude. He's like Italian, kind of scruffy and like gruff, and like think like outdoor fishing dude. Like he's attractive, but she's like beautiful, high society fashion writer. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So she had been told though from doctors that she wasn't going to be able to have kids, and she was older, so she just like told him like, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'm not going to be able to have kids." Like, so they weren't like careful, and that's how she ended up with her daughter. And he felt like lied to whenever she got pregnant, and it was like one of those kind of situations. He was like really upset about it,
Jeez.
but then she was like, I'm gonna have this baby anyways, and you don't have to be involved, but I do want you to pay child support, which was kind of like a little like, which I get it. Like, I think every guy, if they father a child, should have to pay
Yeah.
child support, but also like it's such a small town, and if you really don't want him that involved, why not just like do it? I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not blaming her at all. It's just like thoughts. Like, I'm like, if
Mm.
you really don't want him involved, do you not want him involved, or do you want him involved? Do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe she did, because like obviously you want your child to have a dad, so maybe she wanted him involved at some capacity
Yeah, also like
that way.
get your bag, sis. Like,
Yeah, but she was already affluent. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I do think that a guy should have to pay regardless of if she, you know what I mean? So
yeah, takes two
I
to
don't.
tango.
She wanted to like raise the child alone at first, but she also wanted him to tell his wife. Like she was really adamant about wanting the wife
Oh.
to know. So I don't know. A little bit of that to me is giving a little bit of like scorned woman, like, oh, I want your wife to know. You know what I mean? Like, but also maybe the wife should know. Like, obviously the wife should know. Like, I
The wife
think,
should absolutely know, but she shouldn't have been like go tell your wife. She should have went right to the wife's door.
Yeah.
She would have been like, hello, I've been sleeping with your husband. Here's my child that he fathered.
Yeah. The wife was pissed. He tells his wife is pissed. They have like a sit down dinner though, and the wife is such a queen. The wife's like, okay, this sucks, but I'm gonna accept this child and we're gonna like just take this on and do it together. And then they end up getting along, like the wife and the mistress. Like obviously they're no
Hmm.
longer together, but
I like
so
that. Women supporting women.
I know, I'm like, she's such a queen. Like, I would love to
Yeah,
meet her. Like, good for her. Because the wife's like, it's not this baby's fault. Like,
exactly.
hmm and they already have 6 kids, though. So now this man has 7 kids. Isn't that
Woo! It's a lot of
crazy?
kids. My God.
Hmm. Hmm.
Expensive. I hope fishing warden jobs pay well.
I know. I got the feeling that they didn't. I got the feeling that he was like, I don't know, like upset at himself and almost like, oh, she's this hoity-toity person and I'm this person. I don't know, you know? That was just like the vibe I was picking up.
Yeah.
Like, so they thought, like these were all like theories the police were like,
Hmm.
maybe it's the ex-boyfriend, maybe it's the
Motive.
wife or um, the baby daddy. And then they also, after doing some digging, found out that Christina was having a lot of issues with her 72-year-old father because he had just recently started dating a 29-year-old who was a retired sex worker, and she used to be a heroin addict. And
Wow.
the videos and stuff of her, it's not like this person who was reformed and like polished and like, oh, that was a past me. No, it's like she's rough around the edges, girl. She's like raspy voice, like you know, like
He's like, you remind me of a 70-year-old. I like it.
yeah, yeah. He's like 29 or 72. You never know.
You never know.
But she was like, the daughter obviously was like pissed that her dad was sleeping with this person who was that much younger. Like she's 40, you know, like herself. So she's like, "What are you doing?" And he was like spending so much money on her, and like it was just like a bad situation. And
Mm.
your dad's like 72, you know, like maybe it's this girl who like who Christina is pressuring her dad to break up with because then that girl would get cut off from all the money, you know?
Mhm.
So she was like a prime suspect as well. But then, you know, she was raped. So the
That's true. So it
FBI,
like has to be a man.
yeah, at least at some had to be involved, you know?
Yeah, unless it was multiple people.
Hmm. Hmm. So the FBI gets involved because like the police, they don't know. They're like, well, we don't know, you know. Throw our hands up in the air. We are the local Cape Cod police of this tiny, tiny little fishing village town. And the FBI, like, they question all of these people. None of them. They all have alibis too. Like the wife and baby daddy, they were at home. Like they have alibis, and well, but their alibis are like the wife says he was home. So
Mm.
you know they would have to have been in cahoots, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But a year later, finally, the DNA comes back. Also, can you believe it took a year for the DNA? And I don't
that's
know
crazy.
if it was like, were they that backed up, or is it just because it was 1997 and things took that long, like because of the
Probably.
technology,
It's
you
just
know?
crazy that they like had DNA because she was raped,
Hmm.
and then it just took so long. Like you could have just known
Right
way
away.
sooner. That's
Like
crazy.
if that were today, it would have been like probably
A day.
yeah. So after the FBI was like, we don't know, then you know what happens, which is crazy, which I feel like this wouldn't fly today. You couldn't just do this today, but I think because it was so long ago, they got away with doing this. Maybe 500 people live there, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
They asked every person for their DNA in the town, and
Oh, wow.
every person had to give their DNA. Isn't that wild?
Is that legal? Like, can they do that?
Oh no, they did it back in 1997, you
That's
know? So,
crazy. I thought you had to like get a warrant for DNA.
Maybe they did, maybe like they did give more for it.
That's crazy.
But because it was such a small town, so maybe they like were able to do that. But they were able to get all the DNA from everyone in the town. And 2.5 years later, a match comes back. And it's this guy named Christopher McGowan, and he's the garbage man. Yeah. And
What?
like, you know, option number like gazillion that
Z.
yeah, that they weren't even like considering. They bring him in for testing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, she's just a stop on my garbage route. I don't really know her. I just like get her garbage. I'm her trash. I'm her trash dude as well as everyone else's." They question him more, and then he's like, "Well, we actually did have consensual sex on Thursday." And then they were like, "That doesn't make any sense because she died on like a Sunday." So your DNA that wouldn't have like shown up like that, especially back then, like it wasn't super strong DNA, like I don't know, or the technology wouldn't have caught up to like Thursday's
Yeah.
DNA in the Sunday. And then he says him and my friend both came by on Sunday and we both had sex with her and then we beat her up.
Oh,
That's
okay.
yeah.
That's kind of important to fill them in on.
Yeah. But the thing is she wasn't really like beaten up like that. She just had like a stab in her chest, you know?
Oh.
It was just like a knife to the chest. He's like, he's like, and it was me and my friend Jeremy Fraser, and we left her. We just like beat her up, had sex with her, and left her. His lawyer, then he signs away his like right to a lawyer in the police office. You know how like whenever you're speaking to like being questioned, he didn't sign his way
Mm.
like the right for the lawyer like whenever you are being like on trial, but he did for like being questioned right then, so the
Wow,
police could
that's
talk to
confident
you.
for
Hmm.
someone who just admitted to beating up a woman after having sex with her.
Hmm. Isn't that crazy? But then he said that so the lawyer, so in court whenever they were like defending this case, the lawyer was like, apparently he does have like a really low IQ, and he scored like so low, or not, he was like in the 70s or something on his IQ test, which isn't like it's low, but it's not like you're mentally not there, you're just like not
Yeah.
good at math and science, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, that's not like a low enough IQ to like get out of this. And he still like tried to say he didn't know her at first at all when we asked him. Like he was still trying to lie and like be deceptive. Like if he was that like, oh, I don't know, he wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So then she had a boyfriend at the time who lived in Manhattan because she was just like this fabulous jet setting woman.
Girl of the
And
world.
a girl of the world like us. And then he visited 2 weeks before, and he was like, the type of woman that she was, he was like, there's just no way that she would have been having an affair with like the garbage man. Like she was a storyteller, she was a writer, like
Yeah.
she would have not kept that to herself. That would have been like a like she would have told me about that. She would have been like, like that's just the kind of woman that she was. Like
Yeah.
on November 6th, 2006, he was convicted of murder and rape and burglary and like another thing like basically like brutal, whatever like the crime terminology is for like the brutal one. Yeah. And he stood up in court and said, I never meant for this to happen, and I'm innocent. That's like was his like final things that he said. But obviously like he did it.
Oh my
Um
God.
but he's currently serving 3 life sentences. And in 2008, he tried to like claim like racial bias for the court case, and they like did this whole thing, and it turns out apparently there was like racial bias in this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the judge still like threw it out there. So like, yeah, maybe there was racial bias, but you still did it, like
But do they know why he did it? Because I feel like it's
yeah.
like never a random person. It's like always
Hmm.
someone you know.
I know, it's crazy.
That's
But
awful.
I know. Well, the silver lining, it's not really a silver lining, but one thing about it is she randomly happened to have like a will that she wanted her daughter to be raised with like a certain person who she really wanted them to raise her, like one of her friends. And so her daughter ended up having like a great life being raised with someone else. And her biological dad and his wife were in her life as well and like would visit her all the time. And she's in college now, her daughter, and her daughter's had a great life. So
Hmm. Poor
despite all
thing.
this, I
At
know.
least she was so young that she like can't really remember the trauma.
I hope not.
Oh God, that's awful. What a scumbag.
I know.
Literal trash. Like take the trash out and you are the
Literal
trash.
a trash bag human
A
trash man.
trash bag human. You're
Mm-hmm.
a terrible person. I hope you enjoy or not enjoy your time in prison for the rest of your life. I hope you die a slow, horrible death. And I hope every morning you wake up and you're just uncomfortable with
Yeah.
something
I hope
in your
every
life.
time you touch a piece of paper, it cuts your fingers, and then you have like multiple paper cuts, like every single moment, every single day, you have paper cuts.
I hope your pillow is never cold.
And it's always flat. Like it just
Yeah.
automatically is flat when you put your head on it.
I hope you slip every time you are in the shower and hit your head.
Oh my God. I hope you stub your toe every time you go to open a door.
That leads us to our next piece of shit. That's crazy. What was her name?
Christina Worthington.
That's a cool name.
I know she sounded like such a cool person. That's
Oh,
like part mostly why I picked it. I was like, what a cool girl. Like she was like traveling the world, like writing for fashion, like all these crazy fashion brands with like every amazing fashion like magazine you could think of. Like she just had such a cool
oh,
life.
that's so sad.
I know.
This is why I don't listen to these anymore. Sorry, guys. Okay, but next one, just know that she escapes. Okay. And I
Oh God.
actually think a lot of you might have heard of this one. No, I didn't realize how popular it was again. But this is the story of the girl in the box, aka Colleen Stan. So this was back in the late 70s in California. This girl, Colleen Stan, was 20 years old and she was trying to get to a party. So she was hitchhiking and, very common to do back then. So she's hitchhiking. She's being so safe about it. Like the first car that came up was this group of like rowdy boys. And she was like, I think I'm going to pass on this one. Not going to get in that car. So the next car that comes is a family, mom, dad, kid in the back seat. And she's like, how could this not be safe? So she gets in with them. And that was the biggest mistake ever because that ended up being, what's his name? Michael and Janice, um, who are pieces of shit. And they basically kidnapped her and they kept her for 7 years as their slave. They tortured her, they raped her, they did everything to her. And it was so crazy because so first they put her in like this tiny basement and they would keep her blindfolded like the entire day and they would put like earplugs in, like total sensory deprivation. And she would get like an hour a day to be away from that. And then they built this like tiny little like room under the stairs, like a Harry Potter room. And she would have to like stay in there for like an hour a day and do like chores for them. And it would be like really weird chores. Like one night they had her like cracking walnuts all night, like stuff that just like doesn't make sense. And basically, why they wanted to kidnap her in the first place, Michael and Janice. Michael had convinced Janice that he needed to have a slave. And he was like, let's just like get one. It'll be great. And she was like, okay, but like you can't have sex with her. And like she's not your other wife. And like she just gave off like jealous persona. So for like years, like he didn't, or I think it was maybe 1 year. He like didn't have sex with her. He like literally kept her as a slave. And
How
he
old
just
was
like,
she, by the way?
she was 20, Colleen.
Okay.
Yeah. So Colleen was 20. And it also reminded like they had a kid in the house, like a young kid, which was crazy. So the time went on, and about a year in was when he told Colleen that he was part of what's called the company, which was a very powerful organization. And if she escaped, if she ever went outside, if she told anyone about this, she would be instantly murdered. And if they couldn't find her, they would kill her whole family. They like knew who her family was. They like, it was like very convincing. So he had her sign this contract that said like, you are my sex slave for life. And like, this is under the company. And like, if you ever escape or anything, like, we'll kill you. And she was like, well, what if I don't sign this contract? And he was like, you don't want to know. And he had been like straight torturing her every single day for like a full year. Like he would like pin her up like Jesus and like burn her and like cut her and like stab her and like all these things that like wouldn't kill her but was like pure torture.
Oh my
um
gosh.
so she was just feeling like so defeated after being held captive for a year, 23 hours a day, not seeing light, not hearing noise, like literally being kept underground. And so she ended up signing this contract, and she like fully believed that there was a company, which I mean, spoiler alert, there was no company. Like this guy was just crazy. But Janice, the wife, wouldn't help either. Like she would be like, "Yep, there's a company. It's very, very scary. Like they'll kill your family, they'll kill you. Like you don't want to do anything bad." So they started brainwashing her. And a couple years in, they ended up moving. And I think it was because he was like renting that house and like didn't want the landlord to like show up or anything. So they moved to this like trailer park basically, but it was like a trailer on like a lot of land. So there was a lot more privacy. And they ended up constructing this water bed. They put a water bed on a bed frame, and that's where they kept a box underneath because there was so limited space. It was a sound and light deprivation box, and they would keep Colleen in that box 23 hours a day
You're joking me.
under the bed, just like laying there all day, every day. Like, absolutely insane. And at one point, Janice actually got pregnant and she gave birth on that bed. She had a home birth, and Colleen was under the bed in a box while she's giving birth on top of the bed. And then he would like bring her out of the box to like, he was like, oh, meet the baby, and then go back in the box. And he was still torturing her at this point. Like, it's just awful. So she had this other baby. And this is kind of when she started to come out of the box more. Like, he started to kind of trust her more because like he had fully like gaslit her and like brainwashed her into thinking that if she did anything, like he would kill her and her whole family. So like she wasn't going to do anything. So she would come out more to like watch the kids. She'd literally babysit for them. Like Janice at one point had like a night job. So she would come out, like cook him dinner, take care of the kids. And like the kids knew her as like the nanny, like the babysitter. And like he gave her a new name. And then they started to like kind of let her leave the house more because like they trusted her because she wasn't going to do shit. So she would like go on jogs. She would like go around the neighborhood if they were ever seen together. Like he'd be like, oh, I'm her boyfriend, or this is my nanny, or whatever the story was. At one point, they even went and saw her family. And it'd been like
What?
4 years
How?
because she was just so brainwashed and she was so like done that they just thought she'd like run away. And so she went and saw her family, and he was like, I'm going to go in first. Like, don't you dare say anything. And there's a picture that her family took of them. And it is so scary because they literally look like lovers. Like, it is crazy. And she wanted to tell her family everything, but she was like, if I tell, like, the company's always watching, like they will kill my whole family. So like I cannot say anything. And so she just pretended like that this was her boyfriend. She'd been gone 4 years at this point. And she was just like, "Hi, yeah, this is who I've been with. Like we're so in love." Like absolutely insane. Like this is how much control he had her under. So, at one point, he decided it was time to start raping her. And so it was actually he and Janice came in one night. And I guess Janice thought, like, oh, it'll be kind of hot if I'm like watching them or whatever. And so he raped her while Janice was watching. And then Janice was like, no, actually, I didn't like that. I want to be your only wife. Like, I don't want you to have a mistress, even though like Colleen did not want to be a mistress. And she just got like very, very jealous. And she was like, you can't do that again. Like, this is not, she can be her slave. You can torture her, whatever, but you can't have sex with her. So he continued having sex with her, but only when Janice wasn't home, only when Janice like didn't know about it. So he was continuously raping her for years. And I guess like when they moved into this like new house, Michael and Janice's room was like right above hers. So she could hear that he was like torturing Janice too. So I think part of this for Janice was like, oh, you're going to get a new like slave who you can torture and then you won't torture me anymore. But that didn't work out. So at this point, she's taking care of their kids. She's out of the box more and more. Like she's, doing chores for them. She's cooking him dinner. She's around the neighborhood. Like people know her as the nanny. Like she's so like integrated in their lives. And he's continuously raping her without his wife knowing. And he ends up doing that for 7 years.
Did she ever get pregnant?
No, he's like very careful. He uses protection. Like he doesn't want his wife to know. Like he's very careful about it, but still disgusting. So yeah, 7 years in, Janice finds out that he has been raping her continuously for years. And she's like in a jealous rage. And she's like so upset about it. And she ends up telling Colleen, like, oh, the company, not real. You can leave anytime. In fact, I'll help you escape. I don't want you here anymore. You're the mistress. I don't want my husband to have a mistress. Like, get the fuck out. So she helps Colleen escape and then goes to the police and turns in her husband.
Oh my God. A scorned woman. Good.
A
I mean,
scorned woman.
though I love that she turned in her husband, but also like how mental like that it took that, you know?
I know, seriously. Okay, he was sentenced to 104 years in prison.
Oh
Thank
my
God.
gosh.
But Janice was literally let off the hook.
You're
Like
joking.
nothing happened to her. They saw her as a victim because she's the one who like turned him in.
That's
Absolutely
crazy.
crazy. Absolutely crazy. And then I actually saw in May of this year, there was a chance that he was going to get out of prison, like for parole.
What?
So I'm like, can we make sure that that doesn't happen? Like, that is crazy. So yeah, she escaped, thank God, but like 7 years of torture. She's now a much older woman. She was 27 when she escaped with the help of Janice.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so there are like documentaries that you can watch where like she's talking about her experience, like being kept in a box for 7 years and like being tortured, being raped by this man. You should totally look up this picture too. Maybe we'll post it on the Instagram where she just looks so happy. Like it's so creepy that she looks like she's like in love with this man. And it's just so normal. And her family took that photo and she's like in the midst of like, she's kidnapped. It's crazy.
No, that's the wildest part. I've never heard of a kidnapping story where they go to the family like that. Like, that's wild.
Yeah. And like he would like test her brainwashing too. Like he would be like, the company wants you to shoot yourself. So like he would put a gun in her mouth and be like, you have to pull the trigger. And she would pull the trigger and there would be no bullets. And he'd be like, okay, good job. Like you passed the test. And like, that was how he would like test her to make sure that she was actually like completely under his control. Because the thought of someone like being able to go out in the world, like she would go on solo jogs and just not telling anyone a thing. Like you have to be so utterly brainwashed at that point.
Oh, that makes me like sick.
I know. It's disgusting. But she escaped. I don't really know how she's doing now. Because like, sorry, but how do you recover from that?
Also, like living in a box like that, it's like, how do you not go mad, you know?
Like a wooden box 23 hours a day. Like I can't even go 20 minutes without rolling over in bed, in my
Mm-mm.
comfy ass bed. Like that's insane.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that is the story of the kidnapping of Colleen Stan. Go watch documentaries on this. Like it's fascinating. It's scary. It's sad, but like let's keep this asshole in prison. And also like why is Janice not in prison?
We need to sign a petition. Like, let's
I
start one.
know. Like I know this all happened in 1983 that she escaped, but like let's keep this man in prison.
Oh my gosh. I hope she's
Crazy.
okay. Like, that makes me so sad. Like,
I know.
because it's like life is so precious and it's such a gift, and there's so much to see in the world. And like, to have those years stolen, like, there's no higher crime than that, you
Your
know?
literal 20s. Like
Ugh.
that's crazy. And he was having her take care of his kids. Like I
And
can't.
the psychological damage, like, oh, that
Like
makes me want
almost
to
worse than murder.
cry.
Like
I think,
almost.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Colleen, we love you. We support you. And that was like such a quick coverage of that story. So like if you're interested, like definitely go like watch documentary, watch some TikToks. Like there's a lot that covers this story because like she's alive and she's like out there and she's sharing her own story. So it's crazy.
Oh my God. I'm about to go deep dive on this. I hope she's doing okay.
I know. Poor thing.
Oh no.
Anyway, I hope that wasn't too dark for you guys. I know we usually like keep it light on here, but this is
Yeah.
spooky month, Spooktober.
Yeah. Spooky. Okay, go like to lighten your mood. Let's just say like three things they could quickly fall things. Go like smell a pumpkin candle.
Mm-hmm.
Drink a PSL. Do you
Not
have
from
one?
Starbucks.
Not from Starbucks. Make one yourself.
Yeah. Get like the biggest, fluffiest, oversized sweater and just like put it on and like wear leggings and Uggs and just like go out into the cold, cold weather if it's
Yeah.
cold where you are.
And if it's not, just turn your AC up like
Yeah.
really cold. And if you don't have an AC, turn the fan on and go stand in front of
Yeah. For Richard. Yeah. Do something to support your mental health today because I know this was kind of dark, but I
it. Go
hope
do
you also enjoyed it.
yeah, maybe go do a cartwheel and then write down three things you're grateful for.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, we'll leave you guys with that. Next week is our final Spooktober episode, and it is going to be listener ghost stories. So we're going to put out something on our Instagrams. Make sure you're keeping an eye out for that. And yeah, I'm so excited to hear all your like creepy ghost stories.
Me too. Spooky.
Spooky. So yeah, you guys know where to find us. We are at Internet Girls Pod on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. And you can also watch us on YouTube if you're not already. Hi.
Yeah.
And we are Tori Sunshine and Hannah Lee Lifestyle on Instagram. Follow us, rate our podcast, tell us that you love us. If you don't love us, don't rate the podcast. Thank you.
We don't want to know. We're not interested in your wrong opinion. But
yeah, we are sensitive. We're just girls. Can't wait to see you next week for our final Spooktober episode. And with that,